Hey parents, welcome back to Teenager Tuesday. It's been a while since I've been on this podcast in the new year, so it's good to be back. And if we haven't got the chance to meet, my name is Will Perry. I'm the lead student pastor here at Hope Fellowship. And with me for the next few weeks that I'm very excited about is the one and only Melanie Domen. Hey, Melanie.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm great. How are
awesome.
you?
Good. You and your family, you've been at Hope forever.
We have.
Hey, when did you start coming to Hope?
We've been at Hope for 20 years.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
Right about whenever we moved into the Rollader campus.
Yeah.
Right when it was brand new.
When it was brand new.
Yes.
Yeah, because
right
now,
after Barry Bestic.
Wow.
So.
Right now, it's the way that the East Campus looks, I think is the fourth renovation,
yes.
I believe.
I think
So that's great. 20 years. Sometimes I think I've been at Hope for a long time. It'll be 13 years this year. And then I get to... It's so cool. I feel like so many people at our church have been here forever.
Yeah.
And you have recently written a book called That Parenting Book. And this is your first book.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is really cool. You gave me a hardback signed copy. I'm very excited to read this. And I've been talking with you about getting you on the podcast to share your expertise and talk through some things. I'm very excited to talk about control today. I'm controlling. No, actually, a little bit with my baby and toddler, a little bit. But for those people who haven't heard about your book before, and as we talk through it, and they're like, "Oh man, I want to read more. I want to buy that book." How can people get a hold of you, read your book? Yeah, how can they do that?
Absolutely. So the book is available on my website, which is melaniedomen.com, MELANIEDOMEN.com. It's also available on Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle or Audible if you are like me and like to listen over reading. Sometimes it's a little bit easier just to listen to books in carpool or whatnot. And then it's also available at thatparentingbook.com if that's a little bit easier to remember.
Yeah.
So.
And again, the name of the book is That Parenting Book. And the website makes it easy. Thatparentingbook.com. Makes it very easy. Yeah. So Melanie, we're starting this series, learning from you, talking about control. So what kind of control? You know, as sometimes there's parents that are like, I've waited too long to control things, and now I need to tighten down. Other parents are like, we'll have parents that are saying like, oh, they need to be free, and I'll step back to let them do stuff and release a lot of control. And a lot of parents are trying to find that middle. So where do we go from here?
Exactly, Will. So that is exactly right. So I came into the parenting scene actually thinking that control equals love. And so pretty much if I love you, I get to control you. And if you love me, you will let me control you. And so it was just kind of this underlying theme of how I approached parenting. And then I realized that is not exactly how God parents us. God actually parents us with a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
In fact, he gave us freedom from the very beginning in the garden, right?
Yeah.
He said, you can do anything you want in this garden except for this one tree. Right? He didn't control every single thing that they did. And he, in fact, put that temptation in the garden, knowing that they would have the right to choose.
Yeah.
And so with that said, I freed myself from that really just toxic belief that love equals control.
Yeah.
And it really changed a lot of things, even in my own marriage, because I feel like control has always equaled love to me. So, with that said, if I look at control and what I'm spending all my time and who I'm spending all my time trying to control, I have to remember that I am the only person that I have 100% control of.
Which can be frustrating, especially when I drive on 380. If anyone,
Right, exactly. And you think, oh, okay, so I'm spending, anytime I feel an incredible amount of frustration, whether it is on 380 in traffic or whether it is in my relationships, I have to take a step back and think, okay, who am I trying to control? And I have have to realize I am the only person I have 100% control of.
Yeah.
At Hope, we talk a lot about drawing a circle and then standing in that circle, and then that's the only person you have control of. So with that said, I have a chart that's actually been so helpful for me, and it's available on my website. It's also in the book, and basically it's a chart. If you can just visualize with me here, it is a circle. Okay, it's a circle and then another circle inside it. Okay, and so the circle inside, it says everything that I actually can control. And it says my thoughts, my actions, my words, my behavior, and my feelings. And then on the outside of that circle, it says everything I don't have control of. And it says other people's thoughts, other people's actions, other people's words, other people's behavior, and others' feelings. And so what I like to do is I like to think, okay, am I controlling what's on the inside or on the outside? And then what I'll do with many of my clients when I'm coaching them is I will say, okay, everywhere it says others, I want you to write somebody's name in there. Okay, so for all of our parents who are parenting teenagers, I want you to put your teenager's name in this circle, okay? Yeah. Are you trying to control your teen's thoughts, your teen's actions, their words, their behavior, or their feelings? And then realize you are the only person you can control. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now you're thinking, well, what does that look like with skin on? Yeah. I don't really understand how that can apply to my parenting. So great philosophy. Now, what does that look like with skin on? Okay. So, if my teenager is sassy or disrespectful, right? Rather than me trying to control that behavior.
You should do that.
Exactly. Don't you talk to me like that. Or don't you disrespect me like that, right? Rather than trying to control that behavior, I'm going to realize I'm the only person I can control. So therefore, I am only going to listen to people who talk to me in a respectful way. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and say that. Hey, I'll be ready to listen when your voice is as calm as mine. Yeah. Or I'll be ready to listen when you can speak to me in a more respectful way. How about we take a break? Yeah. And come back whenever we can both be talking to each other in a more respectful way.
One thing I love about that too is that I bet there's people listening that feel a bit freed from, they've been trying to control behavior, but hopefully parents hear that and they're like, oh, I can tweak just the perspective of the conversation, and then it's not me controlling them, it's you helping to guide them to self-control.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And whenever they learn how to control their own behavior, that is going to set them up for a lot of success in life, right? Instead of being managed by other people all the time, learning how to develop that self-control on their own.
Yeah, I love that.
Exactly.
I was listening to a parent seminar one time, and dad was talking about, or his kid asked him, well, Dad, do I have to do that? And he said to his son, well, there is a place, there's only one place that you have to do something, and that's prison. Everywhere else you get to decide, but then your decisions along the way can get you to prison. You know,
that's a good point.
Because there's probably parents that are like, oh, but isn't there a line and safety? And obviously there's lines to, like, there's guardrails to keep your kids from disaster or something, but it's not we can't control each other's behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I have a teenager who is not following screen rules, right? We have a screen contract, a cell phone contract that our kids all have signed the minute we handed them a phone. If they are not following those rules, then I'm going to, rather than me trying to run around trying to control my kids and their phones and everything, I can control whenever I see that their behavior is not in alignment to that contract. I can easily say, hey, you're welcome to have your phone when you're ready to follow the screen time rules. Yeah. Right? So I can control me handing that phone to them rather than saying, overly controlling everything that they do on that phone. If they are not showing respectful behavior, if they are not turning it in when they need to turn it in, if they're bringing it to dinner, all those things, hey, you know what? I don't have to allow that phone is not something that they just get to have because it's theirs. First of all, it's my phone.
Yeah,
I realize that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? On loan to them.
Yep.
And I get to easily take that phone back until I see behavior in them that is acceptable enough to manage a phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can easily, on my little phone, on my settings, I can just swipe one little button. It turns the phone into only a phone. And all they can do is text and call me and use it for maps, and we're good to go.
Nice.
I can easily swipe that thing right back and give them all the freedom that they need whenever I see behavior that is more acceptable.
Yeah, that's cool. With one more closing question for you, and then we'll be back next week for another episode. But why do you think that it is fear that is? It just seems more natural for us to lean into control. And then if when we're trying to control it and then they don't do the behavior or something, then we feel guilty. Or like, where do you think, where have you seen from a lot of parents, where's a typical source or root that comes from?
Right. That's an awesome question. I feel like the reason we can be overly controlling, I do think is based on fear and the fear of them making mistakes. Instead of really understanding that the road to wisdom is actually paved with mistakes.
Ooh, is that in your book? That's really good.
It is.
That's a great quote.
So the road to wisdom is paved with mistakes. And so rather than going around and trying to prevent our kids from making all of the mistakes, realizing that every single little mistake that they make is a paver on the path to wisdom. So I get to be here. I get to be a safe place for them as they kind of figure life out, making these mistakes all throughout their 18 years that they are with me. And we get to learn and grow from every single one of those mistakes. Yeah. And so this is probably a whole nother episode we could do, Will, called Lawnmower Parenting. And it's where we go before our kids and it's a whole new level of helicopter parenting where we go before the kids and we pave the path so that they don't ever have to struggle. And we say, oh, I made that mistake whenever I was your age. Oh, I'm going to make sure and pave the path. Or, oh, this teacher is not making you feel successful. They're being mean to you. So I'm going to go talk to them so that they can make life a little bit easier for you. But the reality is we're creating a whole generation of kids who don't know how to struggle because we've made it way too easy for them. So
it made me think of like if you're in a gym and working out and you have a spotter, like, hey, just spot me in case I can't lift this. But the spotter never releases the weight for you to lift what you can, then it's like, okay, we can be there as parents to you might go too far and it might crush you, but we're spotters. We can spot you. But then if, like you're saying, if we're never allowing them to struggle well, then they won't build those muscles for adulthood.
Or they have this false idea that, hey, I can lift 300 pounds because I've had somebody helping me this whole time, right? And they've never felt the full weight of that 300 pounds.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Melanie. Gosh, I want to keep talking, but we're already over time. So we'll pick up this conversation again next week. Parents, as always, remember that you're not alone. You can do this. God is with you, and so are we. Have a great week.